Hello there, and welcome to Dewfall. Now, actually, we've had this channel for a number of years, but this is our first video, and what a better way to start than with a new tool. We first learned of Clutch over the weekend, actually, and I've been playing around with it. You can see I already have it installed. I have one project going already. But I just wanted to make this video just to show, to share some thoughts on what we think about Clutch and the no-code builder space right now. As you can see, I have a number of tabs open here, and actually what I found interesting is that there are some reviews of some Clutch IO platforms on YouTube from 3 years ago. I don't know if it's the same tool that has been reborn as something else, or this could be the first iteration. So I don't know, but the interesting thing I find about Clutch is that they are out of the box. They're building themselves a next generation visual builder for WordPress. And when you speak of WordPress right now, when you're talking about proper development, I think there are only there are a number of products in the market, but I think Bricks Builder is taking that lead right now. Of course, they have version 2 coming out soon. It's been delayed a couple of times, so we're yet to see what that will look like. And then we have Edge. This is by Kevin Gary. Still in development, but if you check the YouTube channel, if you signed up for the product as well, it's these two builders, they aim to produce very clean code, which has been traditionally a big issue with WordPress. But Clutch is actually operating outside the scope of WordPress in a way. You can connect your WordPress data, but you actually build outside of WordPress. And once you build, the way it works currently with WordPress is that you would install this theme on a WordPress site that you've paid for hosting somewhere. It can be shared hosting, it can be private hosting or dedicated hosting on a VPS somewhere. But the concept is you build on the same server that you're going to publish your site on. At least most of the time that's what happens. But with Clutch, actually the moment you build your site here, when you publish, it is actually published on Vercels. And they're using Vercels network. You can see also they're using NextJS and React. And there are a lot of cool technologies that are really wonderful stack that this team is building it on. And they do this for performance, flexibility, and other things. And I believe the edge that I see Clutch having in the future over most of the other site builders, especially those that are tied to WordPress, is the flexibility it allows with working with code. As you can see, this is a desktop app. You don't build on the web. You build locally on your computer. And what that allows you to do, you can actually open up your project code directly in a tool like VS Code, Cursor, Windsurf, and all these other IDEs. And that allows a very quick integration with AI. And it also allows you to quickly customize the code for your site. Now, the closest, I think, competitor or other tool that does the same thing as Clutch is looking to do is Web Studio. Because Web Studio also acts as a front end, and you can bring in, like, if you come to the CMS, they don't have a dedicated CMS. You bring your CMS, whether that is WordPress, whether the data is coming from Airtable, NoCodeB, Contentful. As long as it can be accessed with an API, Web Studio will display it on the web. Now, Web Studio has an online, a web version that you can use, but you can also download it as an app. But for the Bricks, Edge, and Webflow, I also had Webflow up here. Now, Webflow is a bit different from all these tools because, in terms of hosting, it follows the same concept as Clutch and Web Studio, where Web Studio actually uses Cloudflare. Clutch is using Vercels. Webflow uses, I believe it's AWS behind the scenes, and CloudFront for CDN. So that's how that works. But Webflow does not have a native connection to WordPress. You can use Webflow pages in WordPress, but you can't directly use data from WordPress in your Webflow site. Now, I also had Framer here because it's also a really good no-code builder. I've not used Framer, disclaimer, so I don't have much to share about it. And lastly here, I had Tailwind CSS because you'll notice that Tailwind CSS is baked into Clutch. And I think one of the biggest differentiating factors, as you can see these colors here, Tailwind CSS, and this is something I noticed as I shared. I already built a demo project here, which we're not going to look at right away. Tailwind CSS version 4 uses, I don't know how I can describe this. There's I believe it's called OKLC, I think colors, yes. Tailwind version 4 uses this color scheme, and what that does, it allows for some color intensity that you cannot get by default by using hex. And this is something I noticed as I tried building this site. I built it on Clutch, and the colors, they just popped more than on any other builder. Even if I was using the same hex code, the color just had some more richness to it. I tried the same in Web Studio. In Bricks, this just uses the regular hex codes, but this I think is going to be a differentiating factor, especially if you are into bespoke client projects where colors are punchy, and that you'll be able to get more out of Clutch. So and you can see this. There are some strong colors they've used here. You can see these colors, like this Zapier logo. If I go to the Zapier site, let me just try that. Zapier. I don't know what Zapier is using right now, but this is different from this. I don't know, perhaps I can, let me actually just I'll bring that out of my window, and then I just want you to compare those two colors. This should be the same color, but you can see it is definitely different. There's some intensity. Okay, intensity is perhaps not the correct word. Saturation that comes from using Tailwind version 4 colors, and it's down to that, the support that Tailwind version 4 has baked in. So again, you can connect your data from anywhere, the same way you can do with Web Studio. It can be accessed via API. You should be able to connect to it from Clutch. And so I think that's a good overview. The pricing, they just released this a few hours ago. So there are two spaces here, and this is more in line with what you'd have in Webflow. If I come to Webflow pricing, you see you actually have site plans and workspace plans. So workspace, this is where you actually do the work, and site plans are when you want to publish your site to a custom domain. And here they note that if I come to workspace plans, I believe you can see unlimited projects already on the free plan, but this means that they'll be hosted on the on their subdomain, the same way you'd have a staging webflow.io staging domain. I believe that's what this is. If you want your site on a custom domain and hosted directly on Clutch's infrastructure or their Vercels setup, you would need to buy a site plan, and you can see the prices here. So workspaces, I believe these are per seat. Yes, per seat billing, just the same way as Webflow. Web Studio isn't anywhere close to collaboration tools, so it's more of like a single builder kind of thing. You can now they do have a content mode, but that's not strictly building. In Webflow, I know they've released a couple of new like there, if I come to workspace seats, like if you get these limited seats, you can do things like page slots and build with components and the like, but Web Studio is still not there yet. So Clutch is coming right out the gate and saying they're going to be bringing live co-working when you have added a couple of seats to your workspace. So this is the pricing. You can get here and get the early adopter deal if you so like. So now I'm going to just spend a few minutes in the builder, and then I'll be creating more videos to just familiarize with the thing. So I'll create a new project. I'm just going to call this demo. I'm going to choose the empty WordPress template, and this process does take some time, so I'll be back when it's done. Actually, that ended up being quicker than the first time that I used it. So immediately, if you've used tools like Webflow, again, these will feel very familiar, very familiar. So by default, we have the app here. This is where you can go back to your project. You can reach out to their Discord. We have settings. These are your project settings, and you can install Google Fonts directly on the project. So right away we're going to do that. I like Poppins. I'm going to bring Poppins into my project. Yep, that looks okay. And if I click the icon, it takes me back to the editor. You can see your assets. Now, this is the other benefit of having an app for you, and this is quite different from how Web Studio handles assets, even on the desktop app, because on Web Studio you'd have to first upload the assets to Web Studio, then you're able to use them in your project. Now you'll notice in Clutch, if I just bring that up, it uses your local file manager. In this case, because I'm on a Mac, it opens up Finder, and you can see you already have an icon and WordPress logo. So you are able to, you can see this is already in the public folder. So there's some nested folder structure that we are not seeing right away. But to this public folder, we can actually add other assets that we want to use. And every time we need to add a file to our site, we'd be able to open it up here. You can also navigate to other folders on your computer and directly access assets that way. Now, if I click this code, I mentioned earlier that this actually now, it supports, there's a native integration with code builders, and you can see this already opens up VS Code. You can see the project structure here. We have node modules, so this is very much a React project. We have environment variables, and we can do all sort of things. If you have your Copilot, either using Roo code or something else, you can directly plug it in here, and that way you're able to streamline your workflows and to even customize your site more, while still maintaining direct access to data from WordPress. Now you'll notice, let me just go back to the home page here. There's something I didn't mention. These three things. So ACF, now I've already tried this and it works really, really well. There's some things I've not been able to make work, and I'm going to be reaching out to the developers so that at least what I'm saying has some backing. And then we have Yoast. This is SEO for SEO stuff. This says it's coming soon, but this would be a really, really good deal for translation. So you're able to connect to WordPress directly there. Now we have color tokens, and I'm just going to add. Actually, these tokens can be for very different things. I just mentioned color tokens. I'll just add one, and I'm going to say color, and I'm going to call this main, and this would create a main color. Now you see it also creates a dark variant here. So if you do not want dark mode, which is available by default, you can delete it here and just create one color. So for now, I think let's go for and you can move this. This pop-up. So I think that's good. And lastly, these are your CSS classes. The more of them you create, the more they'll be here. All right. So the top bar, you can refresh your builder. You can switch between pages here. and you have different breakpoints, and then on the right this is your style panel, and you can also see some more specific elements here. So on the left we have the site layout, and what I found interesting here is because remember that heavy focus on developer first workflows, this is where that would happen. Typically, if you build a header in bricks, you first create a template, then you add conditions, and you choose the pages, either the entire site where that header will be used, or particular pages. You can also exclude some and the like. But here, this is a more developer fast experience, and I'm going just to show you that. So I'm going to go to, there's this insert, we can look for headers. No, actually that's not what we need. We need navigation. So yes, we can come to sections, navbars. We'll import one of their templates here. Let's just go with the first one. And you'll notice that brings us to my layout, and this is currently in the home page. Now if I were to add another page, I'll insert another page, and by default I can just give this a name. Let me say about, and our path here will be about. So that's our about page. This is our home page. This is the about page. Now on our home page we have the navbar, but it is missing from the about page. So the way we would do this would actually take the navbar and move it out of the pages themselves and make it part of the site layout. And you can see there is this, it's like a prop or a page slot that is being passed there. So I'm going to, I believe I can just, yeah, I'm able to cut that, and on the site layout I can paste this in. Okay, now that happened twice. I think that was my mistake. And now if I go to the home page, we have our navbar, and if I go to the about page, we have our navbar. And that means anytime we need to make changes to the navbar, we just make it once here, and it will appear on all the pages on our site, which I think is a really good deal. I think we can also add a footer. Let's see, section, footers. Let's just pick the first one. Where was that? Footers. Good. And now we can we'll add our navbar above our page slot and ensure that our page slot is in the middle. So now if we come to home page and just insert a hero, let's insert that one. It will come in between. Now you can see we have our navbar, our hero, and our footer. And if we go to the about page and we insert, let's insert a section there. So now if I switch, I believe I can just remove this and we'll be in the home page. And I can preview this, and you can see now we're in the home page. I can come here and about, and now we're in the about page. So page slots, or that's the site layout, it allows you to wrap your pages in independent navbars, footers, any other thing that you want to appear across all your pages, and then have your page slot in the middle. Now when it comes to the element themselves, I'll just remove this. And I'll insert. So when it comes to the elements, like say your sections, divs, blocks, where you'd find that, you'd come to this insert. And I don't know, I believe you can already see that there's an icon there. So if I'm anywhere on the builder and I'm on my page and I click I on my keyboard, it opens up this this insert menu, and you'd be able to import to add components to your page. They are being called components here. So this is where you have your box, text, image, and the box terminology is something that I've seen widely used in Web Studio. They call just about everything a box. So a box can be it can be anything you want it to be. It can be a div, it can be a section, and the like. But here we can see some classification. So let's just add a block. And this block will make it a section. And within it, we are going to add another block. Now you can see I can search them up. And I want to make this a container. And I'm doing this so that we can now move to the way they handle CSS classes. By default, you can see this blue icon here, which means the styles we are adding are going directly to this instance. Now, this is something like when you're using something like Bricks Builder, this would be designing at the ID level, the CSS ID level. If you're using Web Studio, this would be, it is the same concept here, but in Web Studio they're called tokens. Webflow doesn't have this approach at all. Webflow, it's either the moment you start adding designs, it gives your element a random class. Whether it's a button, it will be button 24, button 25, depending on how many buttons you've had, and then the styles are added there. But here you can see you can add styles to the instance, but you can also create classes. So I'll create one and call it section. And you can see by default, using common HTML tags, this already adds some styling section here. And I believe that could be coming from, let's see. Yes, those are coming from here. You can clear class styles and make your own. So if I do that, you'll notice that the design on the styling on the section now is gone, and now I'm free to come to section and make my own sizes. So if I come to padding, we can use all CSS units we're used to, so we can do rem, 3 rem, and that already looks good. Now if you click this icon here, this is where now Tailwind CSS styling starts to come into play. We now see these styles that are these utility classes that are pulled in directly from Tailwind. So I can do that, and can see that calls it spacing 60, which is 15 rem. Now I tried this earlier, and I don't know if I'm not doing it right, but you cannot directly type spacing 60 into this field and have it work. So I'll just reset that value, clear the value, and now you see if I do spacing 60, that does not give me the same result. So I think you must select them here, or you click on the green icon, and then now you can do your selection directly here. So I'll do 24 for now. And on our container, like the regular thing we do for our container, let's add, they already have a container class, and you can see that already adds a max width, and that is currently set to 80 rem, and margin auto on either side, so that centers our content. Yeah, in our container, let's add, again, I'm clicking I on my keyboard, and I'm looking for heading 1. Can do heading 1. Let's do some text. Let's do a button. We already have a component there. Okay. Okay. So you'll notice the heading 1 is a block. I don't know why these two are okay. I'll delete that. I don't know why these two are next to each other. But now we'll come to the container. I'll come to my container here, and because this container class is being used elsewhere, I want to create a more specific styling, more specific class to style elements for this section. So I'll call this hero container, and now the styles I add to this hero container will not be pulled in to the container where it is being used in the rest of the site. And immediately I want to make this a flex, and I want to make the direction down. Now you can see the correct order for my elements here, and we can center things. So I have some demo text here. I'm just going to put that down. We have a sub headline here. Now if you can double click and add your text, but you can also click on the element here the top right, and that gives you more room to edit your text. Now on the button, I'm going to use that and say get started. Alright, so our text is not centered, so we'll make that centered. And you'll notice now when I'm editing the text, I'm making the changes directly on the class. Now you can right click here, copy all the styling that has been done to the instance, or you can clear the instance here, or you can convert it to a class, which is really handy. And if I convert that to a class, I can double click on the class name and rename it. And so I'll call this hero heading. I can come here and convert this to a class and call this hero description. And finally, I don't know why does that have hero heading. Okay, I don't know what we did wrong there, but this should not be here. So we can remove that class. The hero heading should be here. Yes, and then this should be a hero button. Okay, so we have our CSS classes. So what I'm going to do immediately, I'm going to use some like if I come to width here, I can say let's see, okay, can't use like content medium and the like, so I'll do 50 ch. Okay, that's much bigger because of the size of our font. And now, okay, I can undo. I think I hit delete a couple of times, so let's do 10 or 25. That brings us where we were, and we want this smaller for sure. That looks much better. For our text, I'm going to do 50 ch. This should work better. Alright. When I hit delete, instead of deleting this, it's deleting the element, which is a bit counterintuitive, but at least you can undo. So let's do 65, and that's okay. Now for our button, we're going to add a background. We can actually add some borders here. I'm going to do 2 pixels, and you can see that that color scheme from Tailwind. So we'll make this red, and we can give this padding. I want all sides. So for the top, I'll do 1 rem. That's too big. Let's do 0.5 rem, and the bottom we also want 0.5. And then to the right, we want some breathing room, 2 rem and 2 rem. And now I can also add a border radius. I want to add a border radius to my button. 50, and buttons can at times be tricky when it comes to getting the padding correct, but I can already see here it's because this is pixels and not rem, and that now centers it. And we also want to add a top margin, so I'll do 2 rem. Now I can come in here and give this whole section. Now we can either add this to the instance, but if we add it to the class, it will add to all sections on our site if we use the section again. So for now, let's use the instance here and give this a background color of main. Okay, now I don't like our main color that much now. Let's edit this, and you can see this live changes live. There's some flashing there, but I believe it's they're just things to do with the beta. Okay, I like that. And now our red is not looking very good. Now you can see the colors, and you can click on this view icon, so you can either view them as a grid or as a list. So Now we can see those colors, and to work with our yellow, I think like a deep green would be good. Now this has reduced our border, but we want it to be 2, and we can already see how quickly we're able to build up designs. Of course, the more you use this, the more muscle memory you'll build. And if you've used tools like Webflow, Bricks, Web Studio, or other no-code builders, you'll feel right at home. This video is already becoming too long. I'm going to create other videos shortly on how to connect these to WordPress, get your data working. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comment, and I'll be happy to help. Thank you.